So right before the break, we were starting to talk about the whole AI landscape within Salesforce and where Agentforce fits in.
Yeah, because we keep hearing about prompt builder, model builder, Einstein 1 platform. It's kind of hard to keep track of it all.
I know it's a lot. Think of it this way. The Einstein 1 platform, which was kind of like a rebranding of Einstein GPT, introduced us to Copilot Studio. That included things like Prompt Builder, Skills Builder, and Model Builder.
Okay, so is Agentforce like the next version of that? Does it completely replace those tools?
It's more of a progression, I think. Agentforce and its Agent Builder tool are definitely taking the spotlight now, but those other tools, especially Prompt Builder and Model Builder, are still really important.
The companies that have already invested in those haven't wasted their money?
No, not at all. They actually help speed up Agentforce deployment. Agentforce really relies on Prompt Builder and Model Builder to work. You can use Prompt Builder to make custom prompts for your agents and Model Builder to train AI models on your company's data. It's all about building on what you already have.
That's good to hear. It reminds me of how Salesforce always talks about a connected ecosystem. It seems like Agentforce is another part of that, working together with everything else.
You got it. And that connection goes beyond just individual tools. Agentforce also ties into things like Salesforce Foundations, which we mentioned earlier. Foundations gives you access to Agentforce Data Cloud and essential features from other clouds.
Right? Foundations was that lower risk way to try out Agentforce. But what else does Foundations offer? Is it just about Agentforce?
It's a pretty complete package, actually. You get key features from sales service marketing and commerce clouds. You even get a preview of the new Salesforce user experience. It's kind of like a Salesforce Starter Kit, but with AI.
Makes sense. It makes it easier for companies to try out AI and other Salesforce things without committing to a bunch of different products.
Exactly. It's a smart move by Salesforce. Give businesses a taste of what's possible and they'll want more. But as exciting as all this tech is, we can't forget about the big issue.
Right, trust. All this talk about AI and data access makes people nervous about privacy and whether it's being used responsibly.
Yeah.
How do we know our information is safe and being used ethically?
That's what the Einstein crust layer is for. It's a bunch of features and safeguards built into Agentforce to address those concerns. It's all about making sure AI is developed and used responsibly.
So it's like a safety net built right into the platform.
Yeah, you could say that. The Einstein trust layer focuses on a few key things. First, it makes sure data retrieval is secure, so agents can access the data they need without compromising security.
That's good to know. What else?
It uses something called dynamic grounding, which basically gives context to AI prompts, but also protects data privacy. So the AI gets the information it needs to understand the request and give a good answer, but it doesn't expose sensitive data.
Interesting. So even if Agentforce uses outside AI models, our data is still safe.
Exactly. And there's zero data retention. Those third-party models don't keep the data used in interactions. Salesforce is very clear about that. They say your data is not their product. They're serious about protecting it.
That's a strong statement. It's not just talk. They're building data privacy right into their AI.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just the technical stuff. Salesforce has an AI acceptable use policy, too. It lays out the ethical rules for how their AI can be used.
So it's not just about stopping data breaches, but using AI ethically.
Right. And they're always making it better. They're even working on a toxicity detection feature, so it can flag anything bad or inappropriate that the agents might say. It's all about using AI for good and making sure it helps both businesses and people like us.
This all sounds pretty good, but it's a lot to think about. It feels like we're at this point where we have this amazing technology. It could completely change how we interact with businesses,
Yeah.
but it also brings up these big questions about the future of work data privacy and even human connection.
You're right. We're on the edge of a huge shift. And we need to be having these conversations, weighing the good and the bad.
And remembering that AI is a tool. It's up to us to decide how we use it and make sure it's used responsibly and ethically.
Couldn't agree more. And that's something we'll keep talking about as we look at the potential impact of Agentforce, both good and bad. In the last part of our conversation,
Sounds like there's still a lot to cover. But for now, let's think about what we've learned. Agentforce is definitely a game changer. It could transform customer engagement, but it also comes with some challenges, and it's complicated.
exactly, it's not a simple yes or no. There are a lot of things to consider, trade-offs to weigh, and ethical issues to think about.
And we each have to decide how to deal with this new world of AI.
Absolutely.
But we'll dig into all of that more after a quick break. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about all the nuts and bolts of Salesforce Agentforce. The features, the pricing, that Einstein trust layer, how it all fits into Salesforce.
We've touched on those bigger questions about AI too, like will it take away jobs? What does it mean for smaller businesses? And all the ethical stuff about data.
Exactly, because it's not just about the tech itself, right? It's about how it affects our lives,
Yeah,
our work, how we deal with businesses.
exactly. So for this last part of our deep dive, I think it's time to step back a bit. Let's really dig into what Agent Force could mean, both good and bad.
Sounds good to me. So let's start with the positives. What are the big benefits Agentforce could bring to businesses and to us regular folks?
Well, we've already talked about some of them. One of the big promises is that it'll make everything more efficient. Businesses can automate all those routine tasks. That frees up their people to focus on the more complicated stuff, the stuff that needs creativity, empathy, strategic thinking.
So it's not about replacing humans, it's about helping them work smarter.
Exactly. It's letting AI handle the boring, repetitive things so humans can do what they're good at: building relationships, solving tough problems, giving personalized support.
And for people like us consumers, one of the big things is hyper-personalization. Agentforce has so much data, it can tailor every interaction to what we need and prefer.
Right. Imagine a world where every time you deal with a company, it feels personal, like they actually get you. No more confusing phone menus or waiting on hold forever. Agent Force could make customer service so much better.
That does sound pretty nice.
Mhm.
But what about from the business side? What are the concrete benefits for companies?
Well, for starters, it could really boost revenue. By automating sales, finding new opportunities, making personalized recommendations, Agent Force can help close deals faster and increase customer lifetime value.
So it's not just about saving money, it's about making more money.
Exactly. And it can also help companies keep their customers happy. With proactive support, quick problem solving, and those personalized experiences we talked about, Agent Force can make people more satisfied and loyal. Less churn, more stable customer base.
Okay, so a lot of potential upside for everyone. But we can't just ignore the downsides. What about job displacement? If AI is doing more and more work, what happens to all the people who used to do those jobs?
That's a really important question and one we need to talk about. There's no question that AI is going to change the job market. Some jobs will be automated, some will disappear.
And it's not just about how many jobs are lost, but what kinds of jobs. It seems like entry-level and lower-paying jobs are most at risk. And that can make inequality even worse.
You're right. We need to think about the social and economic impact of all this and make sure that people have ways to adapt and keep up. Maybe that means retraining programs, teaching new skills, maybe even new ways of working and getting paid.
It's complicated, and there aren't easy answers. But it's a discussion we need to have as AI becomes more common. And what about smaller businesses? We talked about how the pricing might be a problem for them. Could this give an advantage to bigger companies with more money to spend on AI?
Definitely a risk. AI tech, especially something like Agent Force, takes a lot of money and know-how. Smaller businesses might not be able to keep up. That could create a big gap between the companies that can use AI and those that can't.
It's like a tech arms race. The companies with the best AI win. And what about data privacy? We're giving these AI agents access to tons of personal information. How do we know it's being used responsibly?
Well, that's where the Einstein trust layer comes in. Salesforce is really committed to building trust and transparency into their AI, but we have to keep talking about this. Businesses and consumers need to stay vigilant. We have to hold companies accountable for how they use our data and make sure there are strong protections in place.
It feels like we're at a turning point. We have this powerful technology that could do so much good, make our lives easier, create more efficient businesses, connect us in new ways. But it could also disrupt things, put people out of work, and compromise our privacy if we're not careful.
I agree. It's not about being for AI or against AI. It's about being smart and careful about how we use it, recognizing both the good and the bad, and working together to make sure AI benefits everyone.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as AI changes the world?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed and keep asking questions. Don't just believe the hype or the scary stories. Do your research, understand the details, think about how AI will affect you personally, your work, your community.
And don't be afraid to speak up. Share your thoughts, your worries, your hopes for the future of AI. This is a conversation for everyone, not just the tech companies and the politicians. We all need to help shape how this plays out.
Definitely. This is just the start of the AI revolution, and we all need to make sure it's a revolution that leads to a better, fairer, more human world.
Well said. I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today. It's been a fascinating look at Salesforce Agentforce, and I have a feeling we'll be talking about this a lot more as AI keeps changing.
Oh, for sure. The possibilities are endless, but so are the challenges. It's going to be an interesting ride.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And to our listeners, we want to hear from you. What are you excited about when it comes to AI? What are you worried about? How do you think it's going to change business and society? Keep the conversation going. Let's figure this out together.